excited that I have a speaking part this evening, so I hope everybody pays attention. Good afternoon, my name is Larry Kessler. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees of this absolutely fabulous university. And we wouldn't be gathering here at the Kessler Forum if it weren't for Barbara Berger. First of all, I want to recognize my fellow trustees here and Danny Wegman. We're so excited to kick off the Meliora weekend by celebrating the Barbara J. Berger iZone. And most importantly, I'd like to also offer the board's appreciation and gratitude to Barbara, whose philanthropy, vision, and leadership are what has brought us to this day here at the iZone. For those who can remember this space before, it's incredibly hard to believe the transformation. This has already become a real draw from our students. I know the students who are here can verify the fact that this is now the place to be. Today we'll see in action the iZone's impact for generations to come. And again, I know the seats are hard, and Bernie is filled with trepidation, wondering if not I'm going to mess this up, but how am I doing so far, Bernie? Thank you. So it's my sincere pleasure now to introduce Julia Maddox. Julia probably had made every decision, I think, decorative decision, placement decision that goes to what you're seeing here today. So she's been at the forefront of the transformation. So please join me in welcoming Julia.
All students explore and imagine ideas for social, cultural, community, and economic impact. We empower students to solve the problems that keep them up at night, whether it's addressing gender-based violence in Zambia or brainstorming ideas for why women's clothing never has pockets. Right, women? And that's what we call market research. iZone's incredible team of students embodies that spirit of proactive, creative problem solving every single day. They rise to the occasion and far beyond it with their curiosity, energy, and optimism. It's my daily job and my pleasure to help our team tackle their own wild ideas for building a culture of innovation and problem solving, not just for iZone, but for the entire university community. From our 100 square foot office to our beautiful new 12,000 square foot space, iZone staff has imagined and launched dozens and dozens of programs and services to bring our mission to life. I am honored to introduce you to the person whose vision, leadership, and tenacity allowed iZone to grow from the flicker of an idea into a vibrant hub for ideas, innovation, imagination, and inquiry. Please join me in welcoming Marian Mavanak, Vice Provost and Neely Dean of the University of Rochester Libraries, to the podium.
So Julie and I kind of out-thank each other all the time because I think you can agree that we have an absolutely dynamic and accomplished leader who's the inaugural iZone director, and Julia has unleashed her ton of creative and collaborative effort and teamwork to realize what was a vision before into reality. So thank you, Julia. So I'm quite frankly thrilled to be here to see how many people that have supported iZone to the present here to share with us this celebration. This has been a labor of love that started 5 years ago. It's a startup, but it's maybe a little bit of a slow startup, but we did get there. It's been a convergence of ideas about what this was going to be from a bunch of different people that has realized into what we are today. And from the start, our students have been the center of it all and have provided us with really the biggest champions for iZone. Over the past 5 years, we worked really closely with a lot of different stakeholders, the AIM Center for Entrepreneurship, the college and its many constituent parts, the Warner School of Education, the Eastman School of Music, the broader Rochester community, and many, many more. And it'll keep growing, because that's really at heart what iZone is. It's about collaboration and partnership. We embody that. So I'm extremely grateful for the university administration. I'm going to call out President Feldman and Provost Clark, who, when they were in their other roles, were really early adopters of and supporters of iZone, and it meant the world, and it actually meant that we pushed it ahead, so thank you so much. I'm also really grateful to our National Council, the River Campus Libraries National Council, who hands down are the most passionate and supportive council around. They really support our realization of what a library can be and what our aspirations are through their advocacy and through their support, their funding support. We're super appreciative as well of, this is a long one, University Facilities and Services Planning and Project Management, who undergird all of what we did to create this space under the project management of Mike Otto, a shout out for Mike, and Holt Architects, who really took a functional program and made it into a beautiful functioning space. As well, I want to thank our team in University IT, events and classroom management, and the many, many library staff that really were with us from the start. Thank you all, because we had really just such a magnificently large team that made this happen. So, now I'd like to appreciate our leadership donors, and leading with Barbara J. Berger, who started a movement. She has a video that she shows on it, but she started a movement. And Barbara's always been interested in libraries, and she's had a deep interest in how libraries continue to stay relevant, irrespective of how the environment continues to change. Barbara, from our collective heart, we thank you. Catherine Carlson and the Chester F. Carlson Foundation. The Chester F. Carlson Collaboration Zone is actually a whole area on the mezzanine. It was named in honor of Chester Carlson, who was the inventor of xerography, Xerox machine. We're really saddened that Catherine Carlson passed away a few days ago. She's really in our hearts. I got to speak at the memorial last night and mentioned that the dedication was there, what was happening right today, so they were really thrilled, her close family and friends. Very grateful to the Friends of the University of Rochester Libraries, ardent supporters of the library, and in honor of them, we've named a project room. Des Kessler, one of the earliest enthusiasts for the iZone. We didn't even have that name before, and he was pushing us along with his spirit. And his brother Larry were standing in the Kessler Forum, and this place has already been used a ton, so thank you so much. We also want to thank Evans and Susanna Lamb. Evans has an irrepressible enthusiasm and a pursuit of excellence. Spoke with him today, and we went ever higher again with him, and we have a project room named in their honor, so thank you so much. Charles and Margaret Norris. It's an absolute thrill to have engaged with Charlie Norris, who's up front here. The Norris family piazza is to our right. It doesn't usually have a bar in it with black seats. It actually has a sort of a nicer sensibility about it, so come back tomorrow. Thank you very much, Charlie. John and Christy Zabrodsky, I think they're over there. John asked me a few years ago, what's your greatest need? And I said, iZone, and both of them just immediately supported us, and a project room is named in their honor. And Donald and Shuban Wang, entrepreneurs and innovators who will be supporting the next generation of leaders, and we're very thankful to them. A consultation room is named in their honor. I also want to thank everyone that's provided support, feedback. Feedback is so important, and every other kind of encouragement to get to us, to help us to get to where we are right now. Every show of support was really, really appreciated, and all of our, in all its manifestations. iZone will make a difference in the lives of our students and in the university writ large, as our wonderful students tackle the vexing problems of the world and the opportunities as they make us, as we say, ever better. At this time, we'll have an opportunity to hear one of our outstanding students, and that is Maria Hackett. Maria is a senior Russian major and iZone fellow, and please join me in welcoming Maria.
Change makers right before me. Thank you all for coming. Also, thank you so much, Dean Burnett. As a student here at the University of Rochester, I can affirm wholeheartedly that there is no other space than here at the Barbara J. Berger iZone that has allowed me to creatively interact all of the worlds that make up my identity. It isn't every day you see that a student, a minority student from Brooklyn, New York, gets to tell the stories of trailblazers and revolutionaries of whom their identities resonate with my future and my vision for our ideal future. Once a student host for iZone's fall trademark event, Creators and Catalysts, and now a design thinking fellow, I can attest to the power of multidisciplinary change making and exploring ways to make a unique impact on our world, thanks to the support of iZone. Also, we have a pretty awesome team here, so I think I'm the real winner. Thank you all for coming today and celebrating Barbara J. Berger iZone here at the University of Rochester this Meliora weekend. We are so grateful to have you all here. So give yourselves a round of applause. Turn it over to our community manager, Grant Dever, who will share the details about what's the big idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. As she said, my name is Grant Dever. I'm community manager of iZone. So tonight we have quite the treat for you all. We're going to have some of our wonderful students pitch their early stage ideas, and then they will receive feedback from our amazing panel of experts. I'd now like to ask Barbara Berger, Gregory Corrado, and Charlie Norris to please join Dennis Kessler at our expert panel table. Students will briefly pitch their ideas, and then they will receive feedback from our amazing panelists. If you'd like to know more about them, although you've heard a little bit right now, please see the printed program. Once everyone gets settled, I'd like to invite our first speaker, Claude, to come join us up here and pitch his idea. Can we hear for Claude? Feedback from Barbara Berger and Gregory Corrado. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So how many of you know a country called Kenya? All right, I hail from Kenya, and the motivation for my innovation stemmed from the 2000 film The Miracle Worker, which features Anne Sullivan's relentless efforts to educate a young, deaf and blind Helen Keller. And she went on to become the first deaf and blind woman to attain a bachelor's degree. And so I asked myself, how can we promote inclusivity such that every child who has special needs receives the same quality education as every other child in the classroom? You see, deaf children have to cope with prejudice, rejection, and substandard resources in their classrooms, especially in my country, Kenya. And in Kenya, 10% of the 13 million children live with special needs. And around the world, 121 children do not have access to school. And the leading cause behind this is a child having special needs as a child. And so this transition from simply being a human rights issue to being a complex economic issue which has severe repercussions. And so I feel we're performing a disservice to children with special needs in that we're not catering for their needs within the classroom. And so with a deaf child in mind, the price of a hearing aid in 1980 was about $800, and that price has skyrocketed to well over $1,000 in today's day and age. And along with purchasing a hearing aid, a child would also need to purchase a remote, which would cost $99, and a supply kit, which would cost $20. And so what my innovation would do, it's called the Sound of Silence. It would aim at taking used hearing aids from the community, refurbishing them, and distributing them to people who have special needs at a fraction of the cost. And so I'd like to follow the premise of Think Global, Act Local. And so I've targeted a school which is near the town I live in, back in Nairobi. And what we'll be doing is we'll be piloting this project. So we'll be shipping the hearing aids from the centers we receive in the United States. And we'll be fitting them and testing the children to determine the degree of deafness. And research has shown that this can greatly improve the interaction between student and teacher in the classroom. Because one of the leading causes of underperformance of special needs children in the classroom is the lack of communication, lack of adequate communication between the teacher and the student. And you have to keep in mind that as a child in Kenya, you learn probably 3 languages. So I personally learned English, so it's not my native language. I learned Swahili, and I learned my mother tongue as well. So all these factors into consideration, if you enhance the communication between teacher and student, which can do that with hearing aids, then this would greatly enhance the learning interaction. And so with that, I'd be looking to partner with the Hearing Charities of America and Audiocast, which is a leading German manufacturer of hearing aids as well. And I would also take any guidance and advice from anyone who has experience with this market and who's willing to help me navigate this. Thank you.
Well done. And I have to tell everybody, this is the first I've heard of this, right? We didn't practice anything, right? We've never even met, right? But so great opportunity. You shared with us a need that's there. I have 2 questions. Is how are you going to build relationships with the source of the hearing aids, and are there people or organizations here in Rochester, maybe across the street, that might be able to help you? And do you have the connections there, or do you need some help from this group?
All right, thank you for that. So first off, as many of you may know, Rochester has a very thriving deaf community. And so there are several organizations which I am attempting to reach out to within this community, but any help would be greatly appreciated. And there are currently ongoing projects which deal with refurbishing hearing aids. And so I'd like to also reach out to them and probably run a few sessions where we explain to the people donating their hearing aids where exactly their recycled hearing aids are going. And so we can build that mutual relationship and trust.
Are there any partnerships that you have developed near this area and near Nairobi that you can partner with on the ground, or is it more dependent on you being there or going there directly?
Yes, there are actually some partnerships that I've developed. So this project actually originated from one I started, which is basically improving the access to resources in the classrooms for these hearing impaired schools. And so I reached out to the education ministry in Kenya, and they told me that it would be a promising idea if we could have a source where we're getting the hearing aids from. And so that's why I'm just trying to push for a source for the hearing aids.
Claude, I'm not supposed to speak because I have the next person to speak to, but real entrepreneurs don't pay 100% to the rules. So if you take my class, you'll learn that. So one of the things you may want to do is establish a not-for-profit legal entity, a 501c3, and that'll help you to also to raise money to accomplish what you want to accomplish, and facilitate that, number one. Number two, I have a friend who is a large manufacturer of hearing aids in Florida. I'd be happy to make that contact for you.
Wow, That was wonderful.
Thank you, everyone.
Don't worry, you'll get a chance to talk to him later. Thank you so much, all of you, for your feedback. We would now like to welcome Anush Varavian to come join us. She will be receiving feedback from Dennis and Charlie and maybe someone else. You never know.
I open the gates.
Hi everybody, so my name is Anush and I'm here today to talk about my idea. But first of all, let's start with the problem. And by that, I'm going to share my director's, Julia's experience. Julia and her husband work at the University of Rochester, which means late evening meetings, last minute meetings happen quite often. And when that happens, the first thing that comes to Julia's mind is that, what am I going to do with my kid? The daycare closes at 5 p.m. This is the most inconvenient situation for each parent, right? And then I got to realize that Julia is not the only parent, and then I started my market research. I conducted interviews with UR faculty members and staff, and I got to know the needs, priorities, and challenges when it comes to last-minute childcare, even not last-minute childcare. And then, me as being a part of this university, I feel the responsibility to make a change today. Here is my idea. I want to create a digital platform, a platform that connects your staff, faculty to different students who are qualified to be a babysitter. It can be non-last minute and last minute childcare. So why am I doing this? I want to make sure that each UR employee is having an enjoyable and less stressful working experience. I want to make sure that students have job opportunities and are exposed to different opportunities. And this is another way to make our community a better place. So while I was doing my research, I got to expose to a lot of barriers, such as legal barriers, laws and policies when it comes to babysitting, and psychological barriers such as how is a parent going to trust a student, like a strange student, and of course financial barriers. And here I am, I'm asking for a resource, guidance and advice that are going to help to make my idea into reality. And the most important thing is that I'm really passionate about this idea and I really want to make it into a reality. Thank you for your consideration and attention.
You're the professor. That's why I make the big bucks. So I think it's a terrific idea. The need is palpable. Well, one of the questions I would want to ask is I'd want to meet with the university administration and see if the university, the president is right here. This is a unique So you may want to ask university administration how they would feel about sponsoring this, or at least in some part, providing the organizational strength for this. They've got the resources, they have the room, they have the space, they have the people, and this could be a collaborative between students and staff and faculty. I think it's a wonderful idea. I'm actually surprised we don't have it already because the university, frankly, is very rich in benefits to its staff and faculty, for which I say thank you on behalf of the faculty, and I think this could be a value added for attracting future faculty. So I think we're very much on the right track. But the university may also want to ask you about a budget and how much money you need, and you may also be able to legally do it under their umbrella, which would be also, which would save you substantial legal fees. And also insurance is a very big issue. I want to be careful about insurance too. And feel free to stop into my office and we can talk about this. And we can meet right here, actually. It's a great environment.
Thank you so much.
It'd be my pleasure.
I totally agree with Dennis. I think it's a great idea, and it may be possible to have a space on campus where you can bring the kids as well as having the students go to the homes. So it could go either way, but having conversations with the administration is a great first start.
Wonderful idea. I just wanted to, jump on that, Dennis. You showed me how to do that. And Julia, where are your kids now?
Oh, he's in the office.
Oh. So one of the things, Anish, that I've learned is, starting a movement is, it takes just a few, and actually the second one is really where it catalyzes. And so what if we started with a little pilot for those people who have children who work in iZone? And we could have some employees, we could have the app, and then when Julie needs to work late, we can see how it works. Yeah. And word of mouth, and then everybody will want to be a part of your program, just like iZone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Anush. Thank you again to our wonderful panelists. We're about to make a transition, so maybe Greg and Charlie and Dennis should move to their other seats, or feel free to stay there, up to you guys. All right, we're going to continue this way. I wasn't sure how that was going. So it's been my honor to be a part of this ceremony. I'm so glad to have this availability and the ability to be a part of this. But I'm even further honored to get to introduce our next speaker, a prolific innovator, a world-renowned connector, a role model, and our visionary supporter, Barbara J. Berger.
So Marie said she was just really lucky, but I am damn lucky. I mean, can you imagine how exciting it is to be a part of this? And by coming here today, you're all a part of this too. So I just had a couple of thoughts, constructed them while I was running this morning. And of course they start with everyone is an alum of the library. And I was absolutely proud. Where's Tom Farrell? When Tom Farrell repeated that back to me, I knew that the movement had begun. Okay, so I wanted to start with, three themes that I think about relative to the university, I think about relative to the library, and now I think iZone has moved the goalposts way out in their history and their learning and their community. And so, I'll start with Marianne. I got to meet Marianne, I'll say a few more words about her. She's just a visionary leader. And I said to her, in the way I only, sort of the way I do my introductions, what does the Dean of the Library do? And part of it was it's a building, it's collections, it's research, it's just a lot of stuff. And I got to know the vision she had for the library. And she started talking about libraries in the 21st century. And it was captivating, so I was hooked. But she also has talked about the libraries in the dawn of time. And they've been with us since we were around. And they were a meeting place. And that really resonated with me because this is a meeting place. And it's a meeting place from two aspects. One, if you think it's just the library, so if your mental model about meeting doesn't include a library, you don't come, you've missed the point. And if you think it's here, and if you're in iZone, you don't need to leave and go to the rest of the campus, you've missed the point. It is clearly a connecting place. So that resonated with me. Learning, as you can tell by the students and the energy and enthusiasm, both what people are learning, but how they're learning, it has evolved and improved, thank God, you don't just sit by yourself and read lots of books like we did when we were, when we were on campus. And so this notion of how people learn and how to facilitate learning has always interested me. I had a chance a couple of weeks ago to come to the university and sit in one of the classes that Julia was teaching. And the way I describe it is, how do you get all those ideas out of your head to either put them on paper or on some physical construction so that you can communicate them? Because most good ideas go to waste because they don't get out of our heads. And so it was really fun to watch the students do that. But you get a lot of opportunities to participate in things in life. Most of us have more things that we can participate than we have time or resources. So why was iZone it for me. And as I kid Rich Handler, could have been his name, but it's not.
Looks much better for Barbara.
Yeah, there's symmetry around it. So I would say 4 things. So the first one was vision. I mean, you want to be connected with something that you can see the picture and it's going to change things. And so I credit Marianne for that. And you know, one of the things Marianne, she's very modest about it, but to be a visionary leader and then to share that vision and let people help you own it. And I look at Evans, and I look at Julia, and I look at all the national council members from the library. She has this national council that's a little bit raucous. We have kind of a badass reputation, probably on campus. But part of it is she lets us guide, give input, and really share in the vision. So that really had me there. The second, and you've gotten a chance to meet Grant, this was about students. And you know, for me, a lot of my give back is around students. And so I credit you when you were a student, got a chance to get to know you, and you told me several times how supportive the students were around the concept of iZone, because that's what it was in those days. And there were some students that weren't supportive because we were taking away the IT department. That's always going to happen with new stuff, but you really told me about the support. This was a movement, right? And so I kind of like movements. And iZone, Marianne mentioned it was a startup, but it really was a movement, and it was really a movement to get people interested in what a library was in a much broader perspective. There is a video, it's out there on YouTube about movements. I suggest you all go watch it tonight. And it's really important about what the second person does. And so what I would say is, Evans, my classmate, you fixed up upstairs, and so I had to follow you. So thank you. Thank you for starting. And the fourth point is history. So this building I've known about this building, or known this building longer than I've known anybody in this room, except for one person, and that's my cousin. So my uncle worked here when I was at the university, and he made sure occasionally I got home-cooked food, and he got me a job in the engineering library where I was able to study while I worked. So that's really cool. You get paid and you study. And so this was the symbol of the university for me when I was young and growing up. And so it's just absolutely rewarding to be able to have a project that goes along with that. So in closing, welcome to the iZone community. Don't be a stranger. Thank you.
So thank you, Barbara. I'm Rich Feldman, president of U of R, and this is really exciting. What a great event this is. I'll begin by thanking Barbara. Her leadership, her vision, her commitment to the university and to our students is just wonderful, most appreciated, and its value is displayed by what's going on here tonight. So thank you, Barbara. As Marianne said a while ago, this is a topic that we've been talking about for a long time, for 5 years or more, maybe. I remember visiting some other campus and seeing a place, something like this, and writing to Marianne and saying, we need something like it. And I see John Burdick, our Dean of Admissions over there. One of the things John said often years ago was that our students come in and they're full of ideas and imagination and innovation, and they think they're going to do something, they're going to change the world. They want the ability to make the world better. And we need a place to cultivate those ideas. We need a place where they can interact with others to help them figure out how to do it, where their ideas can thrive or maybe not, but where they can test them out, where they can get the advice they need. And we talked and lots of ideas, and it took a while, and there were various versions of this, but then through the generosity of Barbara and others, we were able to design this space and create it. And then I can't tell you how thrilled I was by the presentations we just saw. What an example of what it is that we wanted to do. And I will say, a couple of years ago, I guess it is now, as the plans were falling into place and we knew this was coming, and Julia got hired, and I knew that we just had somebody full of energy and ideas and creativity to make this work. And then Grant got brought in to play his role. I knew we had a fabulous team that was going to make this into a space on campus that was going to make a real difference in the lives of our students. And then just the presentations just now make a difference in the lives of our faculty and staff. I see Tony Kinsall, our director of HR over there. I think maybe we need to get together Monday. But Maria, Claude, Anush, I mean, fabulous ideas, energy, excitement. This is what college should be about. This is our ability to foster these ideas, to nourish these ideas, encourage them. That's what we want to do, to have this beautiful space to do it in, and designed in such a way that I think it enables all the kinds of collaborations we need. This is just great. So I'm thrilled. So thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Marianne, and everybody else who made this possible. What a great space and what a great event. So thank you. And I think now it's time for a reception. Is that right? So, thank you.